Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. I'm Ivan. I work with a team called Karpatki. We do treasury management for DAOs. So not super related, but I'm very excited about the Oracle topic and specifically about prediction markets. And I'm excited to lead this fireside. If you guys can introduce yourselves briefly and why you are at this fireside.
Hi, and thanks. My name is Rossen. We are building Azuro. Azuro is by far the biggest prediction market protocol by revenue. Used to be until like a couple of months back the biggest also by volumes, but then Polymarket exploded with the elections. Looking forward to getting back the first place probably the next couple of weeks. We focused for the moment particularly on sports.
Yeah, hello everyone, I'm Nick. I'm building prediction markets with Limitless, and we try and also to apply AI to prediction market as well. So trying also to build it on chain.
Nice. Okay, I mean, a couple of sessions earlier, there was this conversation around prediction markets and oracles, even though it was a DAO panel. But one of the elements that prediction markets have to resolve at the end is the truth. And we're living in some people call it like a post-truth world. And, it's all intersubjective, man. Is it feasible that oracles can give us truth? Objective truth?
No. I mean, what is truth? What is truth really? You have most countries or many countries where half the people think the other half is Satan, right? And that's the truth, right? But I mean, is it? So I don't think so. I don't think it changes the fact that truth is something subjective, by itself. And just a question, what is intersubjective? Like, is there added value in intersubjective versus the word subjective?
I have no idea, it's a meme.
Yes, terrible. It's a meme, yeah. I mean, why do we complicate things, like in crypto, overcomplicate things? These things like prediction markets, they can build like a billion, people to predict or bet on things, on chain. So I think it's great, it's a very powerful thing, but we also need to be able to speak to to them to understand. But to me, yeah, it's a no. I don't think. They can get close, but no.
Good question. What exactly the truth is? That's true. That's subjective question. I think the devil in the details. Because these markets, and that's why clear rules and resolution criteria is essentials. And some users might have their own bias toward that kind of rules. So that's why we try in Limitless. We believe in users and try to provide more choices with AI-generated markets, because that's what I'm said regarding the bias of the users. So the choice is a lot of choice is an option.
So when you say AI, you mean like AI oracles, AI resolvers?
Even creation. So AI creates a generated market can get some can ask question. So a question is also the most important part in this subjective things, and AI can appropriately generate this question and then help to resolve it, of course. So recently we launched AI agent Lumi just a few days ago, and it potentially can generate quadrillions of 1 hour, 4 hour, day, 0-day markets, pricing markets, just to generate appropriate questions and resolve it once deadline is passed.
So,
even the truth question, not from technical perspective, it's like some philosophical thing, you know.
Yeah, it is, and like you know, I think formulating questions well is important. There is this meme of like you know, like like oracles in the sense of like people that were you know predicting the future back in ancient Rome, and it was like you know somebody goes to the oracle and asks them like, oh, who's gonna win the Olympic sprint, and they pay them for the prediction, and the oracle responds, the person who first crosses the finish line, and it's technically the correct answer. So you know how important and how difficult it is to phrase market like to phrase the market as in you know the words you'd use in describing what the question that people are betting on is to make sure that resolution is seamless.
Well, it is very important, especially like for markets that we make up or like are user generated or close to user generated or like just new to us. Like, but I mean, it's not so important when we're speaking about things that have existed for a long time. I mean, like if you take sports as an example, it's super well defined. I mean, like really, you do not really get disputes. Like maybe you have like fixed games, like or something like this. But I mean, what happened in the game is not really down to dispute like most of the time, right? So it's very well defined. You have authoritative entities, like it's very easy. So there you don't have like ambiguousness. Like it just doesn't happen. So I think like the more ambiguousness you have, like in the way that it is worded or in the field that, like the market is in, then obviously the more meticulous you have to be in the resolution criteria, what are the rules, like how it is and so forth and so forth. But at the end of the day, I actually think that, like the quest for truth is really not the real quest here if we want prediction markets to work. Actually, the quest should be for as close to truth as possible for it to work, like well for the users, right? Because truth doesn't exist. So if you get close enough and if it's quick enough and you get you get the feeling that this thing works, right? 99% of the time, then that is it. Like that is it. There's no holy grail in my opinion.
Yeah, truth is the shared illusion, right?
Absolutely.
One of the like common elements of resolving markets is this. There is an oracle and there is this like staking element. So people that stake a token, they get to decide which is the outcome of the market. Given the financial incentives there, like do you think that this is robust and scalable? Can we keep using this as a model, or should we like push towards something different?
I think it's shitty.
It's a very much open question, I would say.
It depends. Like I think like again, like if things are very well defined, you don't need to do that. Like that slows you down, it's cumbersome, it's like really bad, it's terrible. Like if it is very, very, like if it's a huge market and and it's ambiguous, it's hard to define, like there's many ways that people can interpret it, like differently, then you need to go like very kind of like to the other end of the spectrum, like quite decentralized. And I mean, staking tokens, voting, I mean, like it's in that direction, right? Is it the best thing? Maybe not. But I don't know, like I think in that regard, it's always not going to be perfect, right? If it's hard to determine and define, it's never going to be perfect. You can either, either it's ambiguous, or if it leaves some room for manipulation, then either of the two can kind of create a situation where you're getting, like a bad outcome. But at the end of the day, like, I mean, I think all of these solutions will be imperfect, right? I mean, it's kind of like a little bit like the blockchain trilemma, right? I mean, you got to make some compromise there, right? So always this solution will either be very decentralized, but, like to some extent game over, or it's going to be too decentralized and people, if they don't have enough vested interest, they will not do it and it's going to be slow, et cetera, et cetera. So it's like, I think really like you need to have very, very specific solutions depending on what the markets are. Right? Some markets are easy, other markets are going to be tough because there's going to be more at stake, and you need more, like kind of checks and balances. But I don't think that there is like, this is the thing, it's perfect.
Yeah, I completely agree, because the questioning is a key factor. So if you have a proper questioning, so you don't need to escalate it and to realize some dispute. And we are focusing on some objective market, so we try to avoid this subjectiveness, and that's why we can rely on price feed or something like this. But also it's token things. It's kind of controversial for me. It has well-known issues, I think. Like in DAO, we have bribes. In proof of stake, we have 51% attack and something like this. So it's not ideal, definitely.
How are you solving that? Because as far as I've used Limitless, it's sort of like questions are user generated, right? Like anyone can go in and throw a market. How can you control around like well-defined markets?
For now, it's not fully open for user to generate the market, so it's 100% just for now go through the admins of the market. So it's not open for now. And the second thing which helps to generate is Lumi. It's AI generated titles and question, and it's dealing with crypto stock pricing and stock. So it's kind of objective things, and we try to clarify it in question also, and for what data provider, Oracle provider we are relying in, and with how amount of exponents behind this comma.
You mentioned Azuro is like the largest platform in terms of revenue, and sports betting is a massive industry. How are you seeing the onboarding of like non-crypto natives in prediction markets? Like, is that like, do you see massive inflow of people that are otherwise not active on chain?
Yeah, I do. I think it is probably the best on ramp, like apart from like just stable coins and remittance, just money. I think it is very, very powerful. Well, first, obviously UX, UI, just the whole thing, like gasless transactions. They shouldn't feel. They should not feel like. all of the on-chain, intersubjective, all of that stuff should not be there. They should not see this shit. But I think apart from that, like in betting and in sports betting and just in general in this kind of like industry and activity, you have a lot of mistrust, right? Like people get like banned, like centralized entities they don't want to pay them, like the operators, like if they win too much or whatever, and there's this mistrust, and that's a good thing, like for actually having this move to another place where you could actually have that kind of like trust solved for to a big extent, or that discrimination being dealt with, and that's kind of like what we're doing, right? So events, markets, they're resolved in a in a authoritative central place, right? And none of the applications that give the like the betting service to the users, they cannot decide like to not pay out someone, right? Like the smart contract spits out like what the outcome is, and then everybody who won, they can claim their winnings, right? So, and I think in that regard, like in an industry where you have that mistrust, right? Similar to, I don't know, like money mistrust, like if you have inflation, if you have a government that is, like willing to take your money or seize your bank account, it's kind of similar, right? And in this industry, it's very, very high, the mistrust in the operator. So I think this is a great thing. In terms of like, well, now there is an option where actually you can have confidence, right? Actually, you keep your money while you're predicting, while you're betting with it, right? And that's, I think it's a big thing. I think it's going to take a long time. Hopefully we do a good job to educate people, right? Because if this is not big enough, I'm not sure that, like on-chain kind of is going to be much better than centralized, like, yeah, maybe it's going to be slower, maybe, it depends. Like some of the things that where on-chain is leading now is, oh, let's create new markets, let's think of new ideas for people to bet on. And it's like, yeah, it's strong in that regard. So I think, yeah, these are important things, but at the end of the day, there should be like this idea, oh, I want to do it there because, I know that, yeah, it's just safer.
So aside from being safer, Nick, is there like something else that you think makes on-chain prediction markets better than?
Why do we need on-chain at all? So the origin idea is censorship resistance and operating in trustless environment. So it's still true. We try to do it in trustless as much as we can for now, but it's still open space to improve it, of course. it's important to have it on chain because of that reasons, I think. And I agree that it should be a seamless experience. And we started to do that because account abstraction helps to sponsor transactions, and it's a gasless experience. It's a game changer at all, because a long time it was a big problem how to onboard user, and even if you send some ERC20 tokens, it's not possible to transfer it further without transaction fee.
I think we have some sort of a consensus that oracles are not a perfect solution for the needs of the prediction market. What are some of the what if you can wave a magic wand and have a fix? What would be the biggest gap you want to address in terms of what oracles deliver today and what you would need to make these markets, the prediction markets, better at resolving?
As a prediction market builder, maybe I will say some things, and Oracle community will cancel me. But I think a prediction market, it's not a good idea to outsource that things to Oracle providers, because it's one of the crucial parts for prediction markets. So, but still, few projects doing good in Oracles. So. Of course, I maybe just give some common things like real-time updates, cross-chain interoperability, as we told before. That's common things.
So we don't need oracles is a pretty hot take, I gotta say. Rossen, do you have one?
I agree with this one. For most, actually, you shouldn't need the oracles, right? Like, for example, if users are generating the markets, or even if it's not users, if it's AI agents or whatever, I mean, you're creating the markets in a decentralized way. I mean, the best thing is to resolve them in a centralized way, where each user that creates markets is, competing for making popular markets and resolving them in a fair and quick way that it works. If it works, they gain reputation. The whole thing works. Why do you need oracles in this thing? Obviously, yeah, there's going to be issues, but yeah, so you need oracles in some cases. I think it's about the magic wand is one. One magic wand is people are just great, fantastic, trustworthy, they don't lie. And the other magic wand is you just have a lot of specialization. So for specific use case, specific, kind of areas of prediction markets, you would have something which is, yeah, very specialized. Sometimes it's very optimistic. Sometimes it's much less optimistic and so forth. And yeah, and then it's going to work. But one size fits all, then forget about it.
It was not on the list of the questions I shared with you guys in advance, but I think something that is interesting is, and I want to get your take, is will market makers have a role in there? We saw Wintermute recently released their own implementation of prediction markets. We know jump trading is active on conventional sports betting. Would market makers have a role in prediction markets?
I think for sure. That's kind of coming from the the V1 of prediction markets. V1 is Augur, Gnosis, and this type of stuff. Actually, Polymarket now is Gnosis V2 fork. It's just you trade tokens, yes, no outcomes. It's very, very simple. You just like an exchange. That's it. And within this, it's yeah, I think market makers are the thing, right? If you don't have market makers there, it doesn't work for the users, right? You can create all the markets that you want. I come in there, I want to predict, I want to bet. There's no liquidity. I'm gone. I'm not going to go there 7 times to try. So that's it. But there's new solutions. For example, our solution separates the liquidity from the market creation and the market resolving and the pricing. And it's very interesting. So in this case, then you have passive liquidity in DeFi, but the creation and the pricing is happening by another entity, and then you have to have a very strong vested entity for that, right? But then that kind of breaks down the market maker role into two, and separate. So I think there's, both of them will live, I guess. Yeah, I think, yeah, each has its specific kind of benefits. But yeah, there's going to be new solutions to that. But at the end of the day, without liquidity, it just doesn't work.
Nick, what's your take?
For poly market, of course, market makers is a crucial part because they need to match orders, and they even provide some market maker incentive program in order to have some liquidity in order book. From on-chain perspective, I would say we need liquidity providers more than market makers.
So sort of like what Rossen was describing, like a passive liquidity provision structure, and then like automation that feeds liquidity where needed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you sort out market creation and like the pricing of the markets, that's the most beautiful, like way to do it, because then you have liquidity which is always sitting there to, like to go and give you liquidity, like, so passive is fantastic, but you need to have a very strong, like pricing capability, because otherwise this liquidity is going to lose money, so.
Yeah, pricing is important, how that liquidity will spread on the curve, or it may be not a curve, pricing curve, so it's important how it's working in the pool, for example, in the market, sorry.
Okay, so we don't need oracles, but we need market makers. That's the TLDR.
Close the summit. Close the summit, it's done.
It depends.
Thank you guys for this. If we can open this to the audience if there's a question or two, because we are on time, but we can squeeze one if there is one. None? Well, thank you both for joining me on this fireside, and thanks to the organizers for having us.